Yes, YouTube, hope that was good. So, how do you achieve 10 times better results with client projects, right? So, this is a bit of a taboo topic because there's so much common feedback and just comments like, so you're replacing this, you're not. The way that I could describe this is like, how much information can you remember? Genuinely, like, what is the maximum amount of information that you can remember on a week-to-week basis about any singular topic, right? And that is where the bottleneck is in terms of you achieving elite level client results, because it is tough to remember every single bit of information that there is to know about that single client. So I've basically done this as a little bit of a flow chart, and as we can see, this is going to be for coaches, consultants, and service providers, but it can be for absolutely any single business that there is out there. I've done this for myself. Like last year, I use terminal code a lot now, but like going into Claude Projects for client management was absolutely game changer for me, and it is so simple to set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to do a step-by-step process of this flow chart, and then I'm going to open up client X, and I'm going to show you how I've literally just done that as a step-by-step process within 35 seconds within this chat to get a single project set up and then a single client set up, right? So step number one, right? The thing that you don't want to be doing is going into a fresh chat, because every time you go into a fresh chat to do it, you're going to be starting from zero. We need to be looking at building an actual brain around your actual client. So what that basically means is we're looking at setting up the actual project instruction. So this is going to basically teach the project how we want it to behave. So that is going to be on your role, the transformation that you are working towards, what type of situation and what type of services do you actually provide to that client, what type of communication pathways, what is off limits, and everything else, right? So as you'll basically see in a second, I have literally just asked the Claude project to give me that based on the information that I am looking to process inside of it. From that point, you're then moving into adding the baseline knowledge. So I've got a lot of information from the chat here, which you'll see a step-by-step process on in a minute, but you've got onboarding forms, you've got the discovery call notes, you've got the transcripts, you've got the offer, business overview, key data, their weight, size, metrics, like again, whatever niche, whatever sector that you are in. All you need to do is just stack that with as much information as humanly possible. So again, when we're looking at basics, we need to give the actual project a brain and understand how it's going to work. That is going to be on this little section here. So as you can see, I've already added one in based on what it gave me to use earlier. Then from that point, we're looking at adding the baseline knowledge. That is going to be into this little section there on files. So I can do that by text or multiple different modalities. And then from that point, we're going to be looking at how you actually keep it updated. So as part of most business and most service providers, coaches, consultants, and everything else, you will have some form of weekly feedback or check-in structure, right? So that means it's as simple as copy and pasting the notes that you have on a catch-up call, the check-in response that you actually get from that client, pasting in any long-form messages that they've inputted into it, and all that's going to basically happen from there is it's just going to get more and more and more trained. So like people commonly forget about this. They think they can set it up as a first starting point and then it's done after that. This is how you build the intelligence over time, and it is literally a case of just building out and copy and pasting the feedback that you get from that client on a week-to-week basis, right? You can also go to the next length. So for a lot of service providers, coaches especially, and definitely consultants like me, I'll always try and put a little bit of a roadmap together in terms of what we're trying to achieve in the next 30, 60, 90 days in terms of reference points. So that means that Claude is going to know the plan and it knows exactly what we're going to do as we start to work through it there. From that point, all you need to do is obviously just reference the actual knowledge when you are working. So ask him what type of previous information that you have submitted, if you have missed anything from there. And then most importantly, you need to get your head around understanding this compounding effect, right? So at this stage here, right, if I went, that's not right. At this stage here, let's just say that you've ticked this box. So we've got to a point of having project instruction, brilliant. We've added knowledge, brilliant, right? You've slowly started to add in like bits of feedback and everything else, right? You can't just stop there. So the best thing that will happen is when you plus that to this, to this, to this, and then what happens is you achieve this compounding effect. Within 1, 2, 3 months, you will have you won't be able to even comprehend the level of intelligence that that little tiny project will have around that client that you are working with. And literally, it is just a simple copy and paste job, right? So remember, like, this is not about coming in and basically just replacing you with the client service. It's about building a brain of an intelligence to support you with how you coach them, how you consult them, or how you service that person. It is not here to replicate you, you, to replace you. It is here to make you better, because again, you can only process, remember and understand a certain amount of information on a week-to-week basis, and also in the long haul as well. So what this looks like in practice, so I've literally just created a little project which is called Client X. As you'll see at the top of the chat, all I have done is I have asked this: I'm a coach, consultant, service provider, and I'm looking to build a brain for my clients' information on a week-to-week basis to support getting 10 times better client results. Can you give me an overview instruction of what you would suggest on this project, alongside what baseline knowledge I need to add into my file system? So this is then going to give me an overview of the actual information knowledge that I need, what type of stuff we need to actually add to build out the project's brain, and then what we're going to do in terms of actually weekly feeding it certain information, right? So then it's going to give a little bit more context on what it enables and everything else, right? So from that point, now I've just gone into, now can you give me instruction to use within this project? That's then going through, use the information that I've inputted. All I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down, get to the point of that one. Obviously, as you can see, it's got customizational information in brackets. So all I would do from that point, as you've seen, is then copy and paste that into there, make sure that I've got the specifics of that person, save that instruction. Again, that's done within 5 seconds, right? Then from that point, I will go back up to the top here. So I've built out the instruction, and I'm like, right, sweet. So I actually want it to help me in terms of the actual knowledge that I need to build from this client on a week-to-week basis. So then I'm going to say, right, can you just give me a list of all the baseline knowledge I need to add of my client? So as you can see, it's got about the actual client, what their goals and commitments are, their weekly progress records, their patterns and behaviors, their blockers and challenges. So you literally just stack it with as much information as humanly possible. And then I've even gone to the next length of saying, like, look, I'm really that new to it. Now tell me what I need to do each week for building the client brain, and also guide them to support them to achieve 10 times better results. So before the session, right? So where is the client at right now, right? During the session, it's going to give you little prompts and questions that you can ask. Immediately after the session, you can go through. So all you're basically going to do, guys, is you just get this baseline structure loaded into it, and imagine that you're just building a brain. That is it. Like, you're not doing anything else other than just building a brain of intelligence around that client. So when it comes onto here, instead of coming in and going, right, well, I'm going to let's go. Can you just give me an overview of my client's progress in the last 6 months since when they started with me to now, just in terms of not only their actual objective data, but also their subjective data, and then give me a little bit of an informed decision on what you would recommend as the best practices to focus on with this client to enable them and help them achieve 10 times better client results. And all you do is just communicate, reload, copy and paste, communicate, reload, copy and paste. Like, this is not rocket science stuff in any way, shape or form, guys. But oh my God, like this here is what you see is the epitome of why I actually adopted so heavily into Claude AI in 2025. Because when I started using this for my clients, I couldn't even begin to fathom and comprehend how much better my service become for them, right? I still use Claude Projects for a lot of the clients that I use now. A lot of the stuff that I do, as I've spoke about, is on terminal coding, and I have my terminal code connected to my Google Drive as part of a MCP connector. So it works in the exact same style format. So like, you can basically see onto that one there, I've got a few different things open. So building out an RCI course for a client yesterday, building out the new Titan code overview. That was for my content, and that's for my content. But literally, it's the same process on terminal code as to what I use into a project. So if you've got, again, 20, 30, 40, 50 clients, like I have clients now who've built out an individual project for each of their clients, and it has literally been life-changing for them. Not just in terms of getting 10 times better client results, but the speed and pace in which they can manage that person to get to that result. And if you are getting a client to a result much faster, then that is going to get to a point of having a referral, having a testimonial, or having a result that you can put out, which is going to be 10 times better in terms of acquisition. But just as a final one onto this one, this is not about replacing you. It's about leveraging you. It's about making you better. It's about literally, imagine that all the information you've ever given to a client, you might normally have to store it all inside of a Google Drive, which is literally what I still do today. Store it all inside, but then I'd have to manually remember every bit of information that I've built inside that Google Drive. I'd have to manually remember every single bit of feedback and check-in and data and structures they've ever given me. And obviously the aim of the game, guys, is to work with clients for 6, 12 months. I have some of my clients I've worked with for 4 to 5 years. Would you believe that? So literally, I've had single clients for 4 to 5 years. So since I've had AI, oh my God, the amount of information that I can remember about them and how I can support them at high level. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. So this is just a standard overview, guys. Like I said, that is a little bit of a step-by-step process. That is how quick it is to get a single project set up for a single client. And like I said, all of this plus 1,000 times more I have inside of my program, guys, as copy and paste SOPs for all project instructions, all co-work setup structures, and loads of different AI tools and stuff that will also change your life alongside this. So if you are not subscribing, please subscribe. I do videos like this every single week. And if you want to find out more about what we do inside the Coach Consultant, all you need to do is hit the description in my bio, check out what we're about, drop in an application, see if we're a right fit. Hopefully you get onto a call, and I would love to see you inside my program at some point down the line so I can support you one-to-one with scaling your business and your life.